Hola, hola, mi gente, ¿cómo estás? Welcome back. Getting settled here. So, today we're going to be discussing something that I've received a lot of comments on, and it was kind of from people jabbing me when I use the term expat. They said I'm an immigrant, and they're not wrong. But I kind of want to discuss labels for immigrant, expat, migrant, and kind of the boxes we put each other in, and what does that mean for us when we move abroad. And also I want to discuss the term like locals, or kind of us versus locals. When do we as immigrants become a local? So these are the topics we're going to be discussing today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Aisha. I am the creative behind this channel, Abroad Ability. I travel the world with cerebral palsy. This channel discusses my life here as an expat or immigrant in Panama, dual citizenship, me traveling with a disability, and a bunch of other things. So if that is of interest to you, please subscribe and let's get started. Let's see who we have in here. All right, so the first thing that I want to discuss is an immigrant, right? Typically, when we hear the word immigrant, so people that are coming in right now, I want this kind of to be an interactive live. I just don't want it to be me speaking. I kind of want it to be a discussion. So if you could put in the comment what comes to mind when you think of the word immigrant. And this is a judgment-free zone. This is really just a discussion, because I think we really need to have the right mindset for when we're moving abroad, or even pivot our mindset when we do live abroad. So I'm going to pull up. Let's see. Do I remember how to do this? One of the terms for immigrant. All right. So if you Google immigrant, it says a person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. He's a recent immigrant to the US from Germany, all right? So if we are looking at that definition, I'm an immigrant, right? I left the USA and I moved to Panama to live here permanently. But why is it we use the term expat? Why do we not call ourselves immigrants? We're going to get into this in a bit. Anyone have any thoughts in the chat? All right. So I think sometimes it's associated with like a social economic status. Like I think immigrant has more of a negative connotation, for example, in the United States. Oh, the immigrants are taking our jobs, right? But why is it when we leave the US, we don't call ourselves immigrants? Okay, so if I were to move on to the next word, migrant, right? We hear the term migrant a lot in the news. A lot of migrants are traveling through the Darien Gap, through all of these countries in Central America to get to the USA. What does the word migrant mean? So if we were to look up migrant, here we go. So the United Nations says a migrant is any person who's moving or has moved across an international border or within a state away from his or her habitual place of residence, regardless of the person's legal status, whether the movement is voluntary or involuntary, what the causes of the movements are, and what the length of stay is. So would you consider yourself to be a migrant when you're leaving the US to move abroad? The majority of us would not, right? Why is that? Okay. So we're going to get into expat. And this is the term that a lot of us are used to saying. Like I say it all the time. I'm an expat. We're expats. It's easier to say, but is there a connotation that comes along with the term expat versus immigrant or migrant, right? Or is this kind of just semantics? What makes us feel better? And please say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Feel free to add your opinions in here. Again, this is just a judgment-free zone. We're discussing the different terms: immigrant, migrant, expat, locals versus immigrants or migrants, just to get the conversation started and kind of pivot our mentality for when we move abroad or when we are already living abroad. And I'll be answering your questions about Panama towards the end of the video, so you can also put them in the description below. So let me see. We have a comment here. Hola, Sherry. ¿Cómo estás? So let me ask you a question. At what point do you consider yourself to be an immigrant, migrant, or expat, or all of the above? If you have not checked out her channel, they do an excellent job of discussing life here in Panama. Her and her husband, Glenn, just did a phenomenal episode of their ER visit. So I'll put their channel in the chat. It is it Glenn and Sherry Brooks Jr.? Let me visit your channel. Hold on. Yep. So it is. Hello, Robert. How are you? Sherry, can you type in your channel name in the chat, please? Because you guys are doing a phenomenal job here. And I can't do two things at once. I cannot chew gum and walk at the same time. Thank you, Robert. He is a new channel member and one of my biggest supporters. It is great to see you here. Greetings from rainy North Carolina. Okay, so Cherise said an expat at first and then an immigrant to Panama. Okay, so I would agree with that. I think the majority of us call ourselves expat. Thank you for putting your channel in there. We call ourselves expat, and I feel like we have to get into why, right? Is it that when you're from the United States, you're considered an expat? Or is it when you're of a certain economic level, you're an expat? What is really the difference? So let me pull this up. So another search says, an expat or expatriate is a person who resides outside of their country of citizenship. The term often refers to a professional, skilled worker, or student from an affluent country. However, it may also refer to retirees, artists, or other individuals who have chosen to live outside of their native country. So I feel like these terms are interchangeable. You're in Thailand? This whole time I didn't know you were in Thailand, Robert. Sorry. Do you live in Thailand or are you just visiting Thailand? So, okay, so back to expat. I think these terms are used interchangeably, but the reason that they're used interchangeably is because, from my opinion, especially those from the US, we're trained to consider ourselves to be like number one or a bit different. And over the years, even though the US is a country of immigrants, unless you are originally from that land, barring those who were brought over from slavery and descendants from slaves, everyone is a descendant from an immigrant, right? But it's the United States is kind of like we don't want immigrants, and we would never call ourselves an immigrant. So we're going to call ourselves expats because that sounds better, right? So Sherry is saying, I think most people think of themselves when they're exiting another country. Okay. When they're exiting another country. So it could be that we're exiting a country and then we're immigrating into another one. Would you guys agree with that? Maybe. There was I have to wait for the siren to go by. There was another article I found. No visiting, not to get off topic. Well, enjoy. It's on my bucket list. So another one that I want to pull up, is an article I found, I think it was on BBC, where it's kind of discussing the two. So this one says, what is an expatriate exactly? And then what is an expat or an immigrant? So it says the word expat is loaded. It carries many connotations, preconceptions, and assumptions about class, education, and privilege, right? That kind of goes back to what I was saying. Just as the terms of foreign worker, immigrant, and migrant call to mind a different set of assumptions. But what makes a person an expat and another a foreign worker or migrant? Often the former is used to describe educated, rich professionals working abroad, while those in less privileged positions, for example, a maid or a construction worker, are deemed foreign workers or migrant workers. The classification matters. Oh my gosh. You gotta love life here on Avenida Balboa. I hope wherever they're going, the people are okay. So the classification matters because such language can in some cases be used as a political tool or to dehumanize. So they're saying it's not about the color of your skin and it's not about the salary you earn. Are maids expats? Yes. Are construction workers in Singapore that you see building sites? Yes. So I found this to be, let me see if there's anything else in here that I wanted to share. I found this to be interesting because we don't typically see, for example, YouTubers saying like immigrants in Panama, right? Immigrants in Thailand. We say expats. And living here in Panama, there is such a diverse amount of people here from all over the world. I rarely have heard Americans, people from the United States of America, say that we're immigrants. I really haven't. Said, yes, I agree with your statement. Tracy Payne. It's because expat sounds more hip than migrant or immigrant. I think so. I think like in my head before, the term expatriate was someone who was like, I left, I'm not going back. Like I even don't even want my citizenship in the United States. That's not the case. But I really think it somehow has pivoted to where it's about almost like we're placing ourselves above the term immigrant, to be honest. That's how I feel. And in reality, I think when we analyze these terms, we start to think about it differently. And Sherry just had a Cherie, I'm sorry, y'all. I really wanted to go back to sleep this morning. I'm pushing through this, so apologies for saying your name incorrectly. I only consider it after going through the immigration process. It gave me more respect for immigrants, right? And to me, the immigration process in Panama was quite easy, right? It wasn't years. It wasn't like if you had the proper attorney. It really didn't take long, and it wasn't a strenuous process. And when you realize like we have permanent residency cards here, to me, that's the equivalent of a green card. I'm a permanent resident here. I'm an immigrant. And what's interesting with these titles is, to me, it kind of can vary from country to country. And this is specific to those who might have heritage in other countries. For example, I was able to become a citizen in Jamaica. So if I were to move to Jamaica, I would not be an immigrant. Or would I be an immigrant? Right? I wasn't born there. I'm moving there from another country, but I'm moving to a country that I have citizenship in. Panama, even though I have Panamanian blood coursing through my veins, I cannot be a citizen of Panama via my relative, my grandmother, because of the immigration laws. Immigration laws, not expat laws, because of the immigration laws. So I'm an immigrant here. My dad, who was from Senegal, if I were to move to Senegal and if I were to able to obtain my citizenship there, would I still be an immigrant? I don't know. But I think if you're planning on moving abroad, you just need to start to think about yourself in more of a global perspective and not just as someone from the United States. I'm going to put up their channel. Where did it go? Just not someone from the United States, because at this point, you're no different than anyone else that's moving to another country. So that was just kind of food for thought for the day. If you guys have questions about Panama, immigrant, expat, migrant, adjusting to life, travels, you can put it in the chat. I kind of have a hard stop today, so I probably have another 15 minutes. But let me know. So I do want to share that we have Brenda Young. I think she came back. She was a member before and came back. So thank you very much. And I really want to thank all of the new channel members, Brady, Robert, who's on today, and Brenda. I truly appreciate your support. It means a lot. I have a video out for you guys. I think it comes out today at 10:15 today, and I'm working on more for you guys that only channel members have access to. And I'm creating some special posts for you guys as well. Just bear with me. Let me go back to the comments. So if there aren't any other comments or questions, we can call it a day. Oh, I do want to bring up one more thing. Oop. In other words, a global citizen. Yes, exactly, Tracy. In other words, a global citizen. Let me quickly pull up my website that's still under construction. Where is it? Uh-oh, why don't I see it? Okay, here we go. So this is the website. Shows a little bit about me. You'll be able to click on some videos here, and then it has an option to sign up for a free PDF. You just have to put in your email, and it's one I created on the must-know tips to moving to Panama. It showcases some of my photography here along with the tips, and we don't spam. You guys know how much I don't like working, so I'm definitely not spamming because that requires me having a lot of content to give you guys. So I'm not there doing that. Candy says, we're still waiting on our paperwork to come through for Panama. So did you send it to a consulate, or did you already make your visit here to Panama and start the immigration process here? Let me know. So for those of you that have gone through the immigration process in other countries, how long did it take you guys from start to finish? Like for me, it was really only a few months. It didn't take long at all. And it was actually prolonged because I had to come back to Panama to get the ID, and I prolonged that about like 2 months after I was giving notice that I could come back. Okay. Okay. Uh-oh. Hold on, getting a notice. Okay. So have you been there before? Have you been here before at all? Have you visited Panama before? And how many of you are considering a country you're like, I'm just ready to leave the US. I don't care where I land. I just want to pick a country. I'm starting the immigration process and I haven't even visited. All right, 6 months for a permanent resident. Okay. So I really don't think that's bad at all. Like, that's pretty good. And if you think about how many years people wait to get a green card in the US, a couple of months is nothing. Half a year is nothing. And to me, the cost for certain visas here, like the pensionado, nominal compared to what you might have to pay for another country. Well, okay, y'all. This was a quick one. I just really wanted to jump on here and quickly have this discussion to get your mindset right for when you are abroad or moving abroad. Next week, I will not have a live. I will be in the Dominican Republic for my friend's 50th. And then the weekend after that, we will have a live, and we're discussing the hot topic of dating here in Panama, because a lot of y'all have been hounding me to make that video. So instead of making a normal video, we're going to do it as a live. So see you guys in 2 weeks. And channel members, the video comes out at 10:15, and normal viewers, there's a video dropping tomorrow for you guys. Thank you. I hope to enjoy the DR. Ciao, guys.